She doesn't miss you, bro. She's freaking out. And you know why? Because you vanished like a ghost without so much as a post-it note. No explanation, no smoke signals, nothing. And for a woman who thinks she's the queen of the scene, that's worse than an emotional gut punch. It's the apocalypse of her overinflated ego. Her little mind games collapse like a house of cards in a windstorm. All because you had the nerve to wield the ultimate weapon, silence. You've played the lovesick fool long enough, haven't you? Spilled your heart out, humbled yourself, juggled emotions like a circus clown just to be understood. You stayed loyal to her opportunism, patient as a saint while she toyed with you like a lab rat. You poured your soul into someone who was playing a game of, I don't want you, but I'm not letting you go either. And what did you get for it? Ice-cold vibes, smug arrogance, ghosting with a side of gourmet shade, her sarcastic little giggles at the end of every jab. A whole emotional drama where you thought you were Romeo, but she was serving reality TV-level chaos. Enough's enough, right? The circus burned down, and you walked out the front door like a boss. Because a man who learns to shut up, learns to protect himself. No more chasing her like a desperate puppy. No more novel-length texts. And definitely no more explaining yourself to someone who doesn't even deserve a sticker in your chat history. This ain't about pride. It's strategy. And nothing dismantles a self-proclaimed queen's ego like stone-cold silence. The kind of absence that hits harder than any speech. You don't announce you're done. You just vanish. When she finally comes sniffing around, she'll find a man who doesn't need her to carry his groceries or his heart. She wanted a stage, you killed the spotlight. Wanted an audience, you left the theater. Now she's stuck, frantically trying to rerun her one-woman show, with nobody left to clap. This video? It's your guide to tearing down the emotional puppet show of someone who thought they had you on strings. No yelling, no drama. Just the coldest, most powerful choice you can make. Don't respond. Don't justify. Don't come back. Let her stew in her own doubts. Oh, and before you get too hyped, a quick heads up. This content only exists because someone out there hit like and had the sense to subscribe. So, do your part, yeah? Smash that like button, hit subscribe, drop a thanks in the comments, even if it's just for the algorithm gods. Otherwise, this gem won't reach anyone else. No more stalling. Let's dive into the emotional takedown. Number 1. She thrives on the game. You shut down the circus. A cocky woman doesn't love. She manipulates. Love's just a cute word in her dictionary. What she's really after? Emotional remote control. Her playbook's so predictable, it's almost laughable. She pokes, you bark. She goes cold, you panic. She ghosts, you turn into Sherlock. She steps on you, and you thank her for the privilege of being her doormat. She doesn't want connection, she wants an audience. Every I care from you is another trophy on her ego's mantle. Every effort you make to save the relationship is another gold star she pins on her mental vision board. It's not love, it's a cold war dressed up as romance. And until recently, you thought you were the leading man when you were just an extra in her narcissistic blockbuster. But now, you stopped reacting. And just like that, her whole system crashes. No desperate you in the background, no show, no audience, no performance, no sobbing fans, no dramatic monologue. A cocky woman feeds off your reactions like a vampire feeds off blood. When you go radio silent and pull the plug on her stage, she loses her script, her swagger, her balance. Silence isn't just disregard, it's a precision strike aimed straight at the nerve center of her ego. She's used to guys who jump when she snaps her fingers. Now she's staring down the unthinkable. A man who didn't just quit the game but took the whole damn board with him. No warning. No farewell speech, no dramatic exit post. Her brain, wired for control, short circuits trying to process how someone dared to just disappear. Your absence doesn't make sense. It wreaks havoc. The longer you stay gone, the more her empire of illusions crumbles. Game over, sweetheart. And with it goes the ridiculous fantasy that she still had you wrapped around her finger. Number 2. Explain yourself and you're toast. Every time you try to explain yourself, you're handing her your dignity on a silver platter, gift-wrapped with a bow. Every time you open your mouth to justify why you went quiet, why you're hurting, or why you're done, she doesn't hear a mature, sensitive guy. She hears a needy pushover begging for scraps disguised as logic. You pour your heart into some long, dramatic text thinking it'll melt her. Newsflash, she's just skimming for typos while smirking like she won. To a cocky woman, dialogue isn't a bridge, it's a podium. If you're explaining, she's still got her claws in your emotions. If you're justifying, she's still got the keys to your peace. And if you're still replying, congrats, you're still her favorite toy. Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, it's messed up. But that's how an ego junkie's mind works. Your pain is the fuel for her emotional circus. Want to land the knockout punch? It's not some fake cold comeback. It's not a passive-aggressive jab in your status. It's silence, pure, ice-cold, lethal. It's vanishing like she never existed in your universe. No drama, no manifesto, no one last try. Just the void, the kind that screams louder than any outburst. A man who stays quiet becomes a mystery. And a mystery is worth more than any tear-soaked explanation. What you don't give becomes what she craves. What you don't explain becomes her obsession. Before, when you were begging to be understood, she was rolling her eyes. Now, with you off the grid and no trace left behind, she's the one losing her grip on reality. You didn't ghost to get attention. You ghosted because you finally got it. You don't explain what she never had the depth to understand. And her? She can't manipulate silence. Her ego needs a reaction. Now all she's got is her own echo. Number 3. Silence flips the game, the board, and every damn piece. Before, you were the one playing emotional detective. Obsessing over why she ghosted, why she went cold, why she treated you like a coupon with an expiration date. You were the one losing sleep, phone glued to your face, waiting for a hey that never came, while she slept like a baby, stuffed full of other people's attention. But now? Look who's lost. Who's refreshing the chat every 2 minutes? Who's feeling your silence like a punch to her overinflated ego? Because you, my friend, broke the game. When the sucker of the day walks off the stage, the star of the show becomes an extra in her own identity crisis. Silence is the weapon that topples her throne. It takes you from sentimental loser to unsolvable puzzle, and puzzles, buddy, are worth more than any therapy session can fix. Now she's the one wondering, where are you? Who are you with? Are you hurting? Happy? Coming back? And you give her nothing. No posts, no replies, no smoke signals. That void flips the script. A cocky woman needs chaos to feel alive, needs reactions to pump up her ego, needs drama to fuel her narrative. When all that's gone, she's left alone, with her own head. And surprise, it's a mess in there. Just noise, fear, doubt, and a growing panic because, for the first time, she doesn't know if she lost control or if you just broke free. When you were talking, she thought you were predictable. Now that you've vanished like a self-respecting ghost, she can't tell where her pride ends and your peace begins. Your absence became a presence, one that haunts, rattles, and screams in her mind. And you, the former emotional beggar, became the name that echoes in her thoughts like a curse. Silence isn't empty, it's power. And the man who doesn't need a stage anymore, he becomes a legend in the mental theater of the woman who thought she wrote your script. Number 4, her control was always an illusion powered by your need. Her power? It was never in her half-baked Instagram quotes. It came from your reactions, your drama, your heart melting every time she pulled one of her cute, emotional stunts. She didn't control you with charm, she controlled you with the Pavlovian response she trained into you. She'd vanish for a couple days, just to see if you'd still crawl back. reply with a dry okay that felt like stale bread, just to gauge how hooked you were. Flirt with someone else right in your face? Oh, buddy. That was just to make sure you'd still swallow it with a smile like the good emotional masochist you were. And you did, didn't you? Because you mistook her games for depth. Thought love meant proving your worth to someone who couldn't even look in the mirror without striking a pose. Thought being understanding would make her see you as the prize. Spoiler, she just saw an emotional doormat nice to step on, but totally replaceable. But now, you went quiet. And when the clown leaves the circus, the show's over. A cocky woman doesn't crack when you talk. She collapses when you don't react. You were the fuel for her circus. No response, no meltdown, no desperate text. She loses the only weapon she had, the illusion that she still owned you. You became a riddle she can't solve, a code she can't crack. You quit the game, and worse for her, you didn't even say goodbye. Now she talks, and all she hears is her echo. She pokes, and all she finds is nothing. She pulls the rope, only to realize she's alone on the other end. You let go of her hand, the one that held you like a dog on a leash, with a smirk and venom in her soul. Now she's trapped in her own game, caught in the net she set for you. Your absence isn't a void, it's a reverse trap. And the silence you're keeping? It's the new king of this emotional chessboard. Number 5. Silence is the scream she can't ignore. She never thought you had the guts to vanish. She figured you'd always be there, sitting pretty on her emotional shelf, her backup plan with a heart. The guy who'd reply instantly, juggle feelings to keep her circus going, beg for scraps like they were oxygen. Well, that guy's gone, and in his place, an echo. Not just any echo, a silence that's not peace. It's hell for someone who needs validation to exist. A silence that's not absence. It's a gut punch to her ego. The noise of your absence hits her pride like a sledgehammer. Because silence, my friend, isn't passive, it's active humiliation, and no amount of emotional makeup can cover that. She expected anything but this. A dramatic text, a jealous outburst, a pathetic relapse. But you gave her the worst nightmare for a cocky woman: elegant disregard, unexplained absence, indifference that pulls the rug out from under her. Every time she checks her phone and sees nothing from you, her emotional castle cracks a little more. She tries to distract herself posting stories with fake smiles, throwing out filtered shade, hoping to bait your ego back. But it's useless. Because the silence you left isn't just absence, it's a coded message. A declaration of war signed by someone who's done playing the fool. And here's the question she can't stop asking. How did he just walk away and never look back? The answer? You didn't walk away. You leveled up. You didn't run. You broke free. And that, for her, is worse than a slap. It's the end of the show where she thought she was the star. Every ignored text, every viewed and ditched message is a daily reminder that her throne's collapsed. Because the man she thought was hers became a legend, and that echo, that silence you left in place of your voice, became the narrator of her downfall. A sound she'll never silence. Number 6. Obsession kicks in when silence is your only reply. She thought you were just another extra in her ego-driven script. One of those guys who'd sulk for a few hours but come running back at the first hint of a miss you buried in a suggestive story. A single emoji, a cryptic caption, and boom puppy's back, tail wagging. But this time, nada. She posted. You ignored. She texted. You ghosted. She saw you online and nearly had a heart attack when you didn't even open her message. And then the panic hit. Not the "I lost my love" kind, but the "I lost control" kind. Because when you don't respond, her ego's motherboard fries. The paranoia festival begins. Is he with someone else? Did he block me in his head? Was I just a fling? She turns into a professional stalker, scouring your digital life like she's on a mission for the FBI's feelings division. All for a crumb of "he's still hung up on me." But there's no crumb, just a desert. You didn't ghost to mess with her. You ghosted because you woke up. You realized attention's a currency, and she was spending yours like pocket change. Now that you've cut her off, she's wilting like a forgotten plant on the porch. Her ego, once puffed up, is now a deflated balloon begging for air. That's when the obsession starts. Not because she loves you, but because she needs to win you back to avoid feeling like a loser. You became her new addiction. Not the man she wants, but the trophy she can't stand to lose. Every story you post is a knife. Every absence, a psychological gut punch. And still, you don't budge. You don't break. You became the absence she can't control, and it's eating her alive. She doesn't want you. She wants to own you again. Too bad that ship sailed. The only reply she's getting now is the silence she underestimated. And that silence, it's the loudest scream she'll never shut up. Number 7. When you vanish, she becomes the haunted house. You don't post, don't reply, don't send a "you still thinking about me?" emoji dressed up as nostalgia. You're off the grid. But ironically, you've never been more present. Not in the real world. You ditched that with style, but in the one place she can't block you, her mind. You're a ghost now. The kind that doesn't slam doors but chills her spine. The kind that doesn't show up in mirrors but haunts every thought. The more you stay gone, the more she feels you. Not with mushy longing, but with the sting of a wounded ego, the ache of lost control, the "how dare he not crawl back." Now every guy she meets is just a reminder. Not him. Nobody looks at her like you did. Nobody bends over backward like you used to. Nobody replies with your speed because, guess what? You set the bar. And worse, it's a bar she can't reach. Because you're not just gone, you're untouchable with swagger. And for a woman used to calling the shots, that's straight-up psychological horror. She tries to erase you with forced stories, fake laughs, mirror dance videos. But you're still there, lingering, without giving her the satisfaction of a "hey, stranger," without playing backup in her little show. You became the puzzle she can't solve, and her ego can't handle it. She thought you were predictable. Now you're the exception she'll never crack. You didn't yell, didn't make a scene, didn't throw shade. You just vanished. Clean, surgical, like flipping a switch and never coming back to turn it on. That's why you're a legend. No closure, no answers, no cracks for a maybe. She, who always thought she owned the game, is now a lone player trying to make sense of a board you already burned. And you're the ghost she created, and now, ironically, the only presence she can't exercise. Number 8. She'll come back, but you're already on another continent mentally. Yeah, she'll come looking. Not today, while she's still pretending your absence doesn't faze her. She'll wait till her pride cools off, her likes dry up, and her flings prove they're just that lame extras in a poorly written script. When the crowd scatters and her stage is empty, that's when she'll think of you. It'll start small, because arrogance doesn't let her apologize outright. First, a random like on an old post. Then, a story view with a sneaky emoji acting like she's just chilling. And of course, the classic coward's text from someone who thinks half a syllable will open the door. "Hey, stranger." But here's the reality check. You're not there anymore. That "hey" landed in a world you don't live in anymore. Because a man who ghosts for real doesn't hide in a cave waiting for a signal. He rebuilds. He rediscovers the core she tried to dismantle with her cheap mind games and emotional B-list acting. She still thinks you're on her bench, ready to jump at her whistle. But what's standing now is a man who learned the golden rule of self-respect. No value, no stay. And no, that's not pettiness, it's growth. You'll see her message, maybe even crack a smile, but not out of spite, out of relief, because you finally see it. What she broke with her dismissiveness, you rebuilt with silence. She wants to restart the game, but the board's ashes, She wants the last word, but you already wrote the ending and left the story. Will she miss you? Sure. Want your attention? You bet. Regret it? Too late. Because now all that's happening in her head, in a theater where you don't even buy a ticket anymore. You're on a new stage, a new play, a new level. She'll come looking. But what she'll find is the echo of her own disregard. Because the real ending wasn't when she lost you. It was when you realized you never needed her to be whole. And now, nothing, absolutely nothing she does will ever be enough to pull you back. She'll come looking. But you're long gone. And you're far. Number 9. Indifference is her ego's funeral. No flowers, no notice. Back then, she feasted on your desperation. Every move you made was a standing ovation for her ego. You were out here trying to fix the unfixable, save what only existed in your head, patch up a relationship that was basically a one-man show with an empty crowd. You were sweating buckets while she sipped wine and smirked, bored out of her mind. But now, you're stone cold, silent, surgical precision. You don't yell, don't react, don't throw shade, don't beg for answers. You're just gone. Your absence became your loudest presence, and your indifference? It's the coffin where she's slowly burying her pride. She's still trying to keep up appearances, of course, rocking that I'm above it all smirk. But inside, she's crumbling. Because there's no weapon against someone who doesn't care anymore. Indifference is the acid that melts even the toughest ego quietly, without fanfare, without mercy. She's starting to remember the times you begged for a sign of life, the nights you lost sleep waiting for a reply that never came, the days you kept trying while she played coy, dishing out strategic shade. But now you're the one ghosting without a word. You're the one not replying. You're the one who doesn't feel anything. And that, my friend, is a life sentence for her ego. You didn't serve revenge or a speech. You served the ultimate punishment. Silence that doesn't budge. Absence that doesn't explain itself. Total indifference. And the woman who fed off your effort is now starving emotionally. Because you turned off the tap. Because the game's done. Because you stopped giving. And the man who gives nothing, not a glance, not a go to hell, leaves a scar that never heals. Because when she looks at your indifference, she sees everything she lost and hears day after day the only sound left, the bitter echo of her own regret. Now it's clicking, isn't it? The game was never about love, it was about control. A cheap little show where you were the pawn orbiting her ego, only breathing when she let you. But look who got fed up with dancing to her tune. You stopped spinning, shut up, vanished. And in that void, something new was born. A man who doesn't need an audience to be the star. This new you doesn't fight for attention, doesn't grovel for affection, doesn't beg for emotional scraps. He knows who he is, even if nobody's watching. Because real power isn't about clapping back. It's about not needing to waste time on revenge. And your silence? That's the death sentence for her empire. She could have predicted anything but this. The nothing. The void. The indifference. She was banking on a rerun, a cycle, a relapse. But what came back? Zilch. Zero. No reply. No presence. No glance. And that, my friend, is the final collapse for any woman addicted to control. She wasn't rejected by just anyone. She was ignored by the same guy who once carried the world for her, and now doesn't even carry a thought. The punishment? It wasn't losing the guy who said he loved her. It was losing the fool she thought she could toy with forever. You didn't make a scene, didn't dramatize, didn't fight back. You just vanished. And that was the final blow. Because it didn't leave anger. It left an echo. A silence that screams what she never wanted to hear. It's over. Over without warning, without tears, without an audience. Just the void. And now she'll spend the rest of her days trying to figure out what, where, and how she lost you. But you already know. And thank God you don't feel the need to explain anymore.